in 2021. A few minutes ago, I heard a knocking at my front door, and this massive, not really that massive, cardboard box appeared. Knife set aside, back to box. We have two boxes within here. One, first thing I ordered, which this should be, since it is shorter, the wakizashi. Now this one is the one that I'm really doing the video for. The wakizashi is meant to match my katana to some degree. We'll check that in a minute. Onikiri, brand we've never experienced, but probably close to Musashi. In fact, this very much looks like the same stuff Musashi gave me. 1045, not as good as what I got on my other sword, clearly, but at the same time, it happens. This bag is kind of satiny. This is kind of a rayon, kind of soft material. The other bag I got with the Musashi was definitely cotton and heavier, but this is kind of a nice bag, actually. I'm surprised. It's not probably as protective, but that's kind of a nice liner. Okay, so let us see here. First look at cheap sword. It's a cheap wakizashi. The handle's long. Fake rubbery same. That's the word, same. And basic fittings that are fairly plain. Scabbard on the outside is very fingerprinty. I've probably identified who shipped this to me. But it's not bad. Okay. So basically it's just going to be for backyard cutting. So I don't think at this blade length the 1045 is going to be such an issue. I'll probably do something to make that same look better. Because, oh my god, it's so rubbery. It's like a bath mat rubbery. That is terrible. Terrible stuff. Giving it the old shake test, it holds tight, which is a good thing. The fake hamon, which will probably get taken off entirely. Because oh, maybe not. That is pretty sharp. Maybe not as sharp as I want it, but pretty darn sharp, comparatively. Kazaki, I think that's the term. I don't remember the name, but it's pretty well defined for a cheap sword. That's not too bad. But I think it's a 19-inch blade, maybe. Well, there it is in its entirety, with my leg and my barefoot. Hello, barefoot. The wakizashi has a much longer grip than the Confederate D-guard. But the Confederate D-guard, for reference, is about a 17 3/4 inch blade. It's almost 18, so there you go. Kind of compare those two. Not too far off. But honestly, as far as how it feels in the hand, it's not too bad. I mean, it's definitely not as good as some swords I felt. And yeah, it's definitely sloppier on the pegs. Those are nappy looking. But it does have two pegs on it, which is kind of cool. That's horrible looking. But like I said, it's mostly about having the blade. There's about a 1/4 inch before the inches actually begin on the flush of the handle. Try to cinch it forward just a little bit. We come to a grip that is, where's the 10-inch mark? About 9.5 inches. Look at that compared to my hand. Saya. Looks like we may be a shim in there. I can't tell from the camera, but it's interesting that they painted the whole top of it black. I've always crashed. They checked the black box, but in my house, the black box doesn't tell us anything about crashes. It was $1. All right, let me get all this back to myself. It came packed in the plastic bag, but apparently has a sword bag included that they did not pack it in. Again, bizarre. But here we go. So these compare. Oh, look, two different. Red, big for the wakizashi, small and black for the $1 katana. All right, let's see what this says. Oh, look, it's got different type. It's actually on weirder paper. It's on cardboard instead of paper. How odd. All right, folks, this is actually... I'm kind of shocked here. This is actually real same, and it's the cotton kind of wrap that my Musashi had. Not quite as thick feeling, maybe, but it's definitely tighter. Not as tight as the Musashi, but tighter than the wakizashi had. And the sword was supposed to be a $50 sword. They just had it as a promotion for $1. So let's go down here. Well, there's our first $1 flaw. Those are not glued in well, but that's, you know, that's minor for $1. It looks kind of hand done. It's not as bad as it could be. It looks very yellow here. It looks actually gold, and from my point of view, but it's actually not as sloppily drawn as I expected. I expected it to be slapped on there with like a stencil, but that actually looks like maybe someone did that by hand. It doesn't look stenciled. Huh. Oy. That's actually a tight fit in that scabbard, too. Now, I have to give that. These Onikiris have fit their scabbards better than my Musashi. Oh, look at that. Some rusty rust. Rusty rust on the end of the blade. There it is. Yep, little spots of rust. Okay, well. Only at the very end, it seems. That's fine. Non-real. Oh, look, another spot of rusty rust. We'll have to take that out. But that's probably why this was $1. That's probably what it is. Is this model's been sitting around a while and got rusty now. But less distal taper comparatively. So it's going to be a little more blade heavy, but that's fine. That's fine. As far as this Suba, whatever it happens to be, it says it's iron, but it feels, I don't know if it has a weird feel to it. It doesn't feel like iron or steel or whatever. But there's your badly done gold. Obviously, sloppily done right there, especially you can see the leaves go over. But at a glance, not the worst thing I've ever looked at. I mean, it will keep your hand from going up the blade, if nothing else. First impressions for a $1 sword, I'm going to give it a pass. This actually feels pretty solid. It's got 2 pins. Neither one of the pins want to press through easily. My Musashi has that one pin that's a little slippy. So, that's an improvement. Let's see if we can get some of the detail in there. Bit muddy on the castings, but again, for a $1 sword, I'm not really going to fault it. Look at that. You can actually see on this, there is maybe plastic, but it's definitely separate from the wood. But they didn't paint it black. This is a very inconsistent company, aren't they? But the scabbard's actually pretty decent. Saya, I should say. I'm not fond of decorations like this on a scabbard, but as far as that goes, it's not horrible. Could be worse. Maybe getting repainted anyway. We don't know. So, we shall see. The 4 Japanese swords in my possession at this time. My friend Kelwin's Katana. My katana that arrived today that I got for $1 plus $35 shipping. My Musashi. And the Onikiri wakizashi. Tell this Suba is brass. No stick in there. Whoa, where did mine go? A metal scabbard with a plastic lining. There's a fake leather covering. It's heavy as hell, but it would make one hell of a bludgeon tool. Onikiri $1 sword. No. Musashi guard. Definitely steel. Now, here's what surprised me. The guard is, in fact, steel, which is awesome, because that means better hand protection. Because I wanted matching guards on the swords, this one, that had the fake same, which I've colored in some with black nail polish and wiped clean to give it a more aged look. And this cheap wrap that was kind of more nylon-ish, I super glued at the knots, so it has a lot less wiggle room. Dylan bought this katana at the Museum Replicas clearance sale. You see it's got this weird rope wrapping, but it's actually very comfortable. It gives it a nice grip. Now, the Suka is actually, it looks like something, but it is, there you can see, it is entirely plastic. The entire handle is plastic. It's a high impact plastic, but none of that kind of stuff. So I just glued it all together with a nice mix of glues, and it will probably never come apart again, hopefully. Look at that. Alright, so we can compare the length of the Suka, or as some people say, ska. I've heard it both ways. I'm not Japanese, nor do I profess to be, so I will just say handle. As we can see here, the wakizashi at top, the Musashi, the $1 sword by Onikiri, and the Kelwin Katana. If we take the wakizashi, we will see that it is actually longer than the Suka on Kelwin's Katana. You can see I got most of the rust off the blade. And shockingly, when I did that, the fake Haman did not actually polish out. I got the rust out and kept the fake Haman. So, there you go. Durability for you. So that's a 1045 blade on that one. So, we'll see how it holds up. But it does have... And if you look at the wraps of these two, this is slightly different than this. But they both feel like cotton. This is a better grade cotton. This is a little... not quite as good, but it's pretty tight. So today I shimmed it with I shimmed it with cardboard because I couldn't, needed very little shimming. So I took a piece of cardboard. Now it still rattles this way a bit, but as far, there we go. It does not come out anymore. So tight enough. I don't like the rattle, but most of the rattle is happening down here. I'm not entirely sure how I'd get anything that far down to shim it without making a problem for myself. And put the Musashi in it. Why, look at that. It fits perfectly. So if I did want to take the wakizashi and have it as a daishio set with the Musashi, there, they would sort of match. This one I had a little bit of decoration, but then they'd match in color. Nonetheless, I can use the Musashi in either the black or red scabbard. Store this one in there. It's enough to protect it, but not, you know, a good fit. And then that would match the daishio set. Or I might paint this one to try to match the red of this one a little more. Or maybe I'll just leave it red and black. Who knows? But look at that. You can actually see on this, there is maybe plastic, but it's definitely separate from the wood. But they didn't paint it black. This is a very inconsistent company, aren't they? But the scabbard's actually pretty decent. One thing I did with each one of the scabbard mouths is I took black nail polish and seam covered over the wood just to make it a little more aesthetically pleasing at the mouth. Not that it really matters, but it does look a little better. So there you go, folks. First impressions of a $1 katana and a cheap wakizashi. They seem better than I expected, but we'll see how they hold up in test cutting soon. Hilson, and good night, folks.